Hi, I'm Carmela,
Hi, I'm Lauren. We're a faith-based podcast.
hoping to reach women from all walks of life seeking a relationship with Jesus.
Yes, and happy Valentine's Day. Today is February 14th.
Yeah.
So, good day to start talking.
Yeah. So today we chose the topic of the woman at the well because we can both relate. We had a time in our lives where we felt like the woman at the well, looking for fulfillment and validation in the wrong places. And it wasn't until we came to Jesus that we found that fulfillment that we were looking for.
Yep. So I would say the main reason why we're both here and wanted to do a podcast is basically to give God the glory for how He's changed our life. And so hopefully whatever we say during this, however long we're on here, is it touches somebody's heart and somebody's life, because that's the whole reason of why we're doing this. So I just wanted to make sure that's first and foremost. This is for Jesus alone. But yeah, like Carmela said, we both had different walks of life, and we met actually along our journey, I would say, randomly. But yeah, the woman at the well, it's in, I think, John chapter 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of relates to both of us. And I think it's kind of good that we're talking about that, because it also has to do with, I guess, her, how would I say it? Maybe not feeling loved and trying to seek love in all the wrong places, besides knowing that Jesus has an unconditional, I can't even explain that type of love, unconditional love that never ends.
Yeah.
That if she would receive him, then she wouldn't be looking in all those different other avenues. But
Right.
anyway.
She would get the fulfillment that she was searching for
Yes.
all those years, through all those men.
Yes. So I don't know, maybe everybody doesn't know exactly kind of about the woman by the well, so I don't know. Did you want to say kind of about it, or do you want me to say kind of about it?
Yeah. So the story of the woman at the well is Jesus was at the well. She came with her bucket to get the water to quench her thirst, and he told her, "I have the water that I have. If you drink it, you'll thirst no more." And Jesus tells her, she says, I want, this water that you have. I would, and he tells her, well, go get your husband. And her response is, I don't have a husband. And Jesus, without judgment, he doesn't condemn her. He just tells her, like, I know, like the man that you're with is not your husband. And that, she had the 5 husbands before. And so it was just kind of like, he was telling her, like, he knows the things she's done, but he's not gonna, he gave her the water, but then he sent her away and said, and sin no more. And then she went on to tell everyone about what Jesus had done for her and bring them back to him. And I think that's where I guess I feel, I'd always been 1 foot in, 1 foot out with my faith. And I felt like, even though, yes, I was in the church and I was praying and I was doing these things, I didn't have, I still wasn't fulfilled. I didn't feel connected. I didn't really know Jesus. I was just kind of going through the motions, and then it wasn't until I decided, okay, then like, that's it. I'm just gonna go all in, because really, what do I have to lose? Because and this peace that I see everyone else have, I want that. People who actually know Jesus, and like, how did you get there to that point? And so that's why now we're out telling everybody about this water that Jesus has, that I feel at peace all the time. Obviously there's times.
Still stressors, but yeah, it's different.
But I feel that now. And I never did before, until I decided to go all in. I do feel fulfilled. Like, I feel like no matter what comes my way, I have Jesus and I'll be fine.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And I can, sorry, Mom, if you're watching this, but I think about my mom growing up, and it's like this little ray of sunshine pretty much all the time. And you're like, why is she always just so, it's just like an inner happiness always. Just smiling and just going through life, even those horrible things that we had to go through in life. Not horrible, but challenging, I would say. But she always had this joy about her. And that's why, though. It's because, she's an awesome Christian woman. So thanks, Mom, for always being that. I'm not going to tear up.
Yeah. Oh, we're both criers, so this could get rough. But
yeah.
See, my experience with my mom was different. So we didn't have a relationship with Jesus. We were Catholic. I grew up Catholic, but obviously, we didn't go to church, really. We weren't involved. Mm-hmm. So, in high school, we'd started going to church, but like I said, we were all of us, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, even my mom, and she was like the woman at the well, seeking validation or love from the world, and always felt empty and alone and sad. And I just remember seeing her like that. And I just thought that's what single motherhood looks like. So when I became a single mom, I thought that that's what my life was going to be. And that's what it was until, my mom came to Jesus and I saw the peace in her life. And I was like, man, if that woman can have peace like she has now, then I know I can do it. Mm-hmm. And so, it wasn't until I decided to go all in, and now I guess I realized I don't have to be that single mom that's run down and depressed and always worried and scared and angry. I don't have to be that, because it's not what Jesus has called us to be. No,
not at all. Nope. And I don't know. I was just thinking that it's crazy when you go and read the Bible, because it's like. So I don't even know if I had mentioned this, but I was raised, I don't think I did mention this so far. I was raised in church ever since I was itsy bitsy. I probably was there when I was born. As soon as I could be stuck in the church crib, I probably was there, hearing the hymns in the church right away. I was in the Baptist church. So I was always there throughout my entire growing up. And I was baptized fairly young. Saved, accepted Jesus in my heart. But I think it was more of a routine almost. I was on fire for a little while, and I could tell the difference. And man, I wanted to tell everybody about Jesus. But it's interesting. I guess I kind of got sucked down another path, and even reading scripture back then, I could read it, but it almost kind of didn't make sense to me, maybe because I was younger, 10 and 11 and 12. But it's mind-blowing now. For instance, when I read the story of the woman in the well, and not in the well, she wasn't in the well, sorry, by the well, let me get that right.
All good.
Nobody was in the well that I know of in the Bible. But anyway, the woman by the well, it was it was speaking to me. That this woman had 5 husbands already. It doesn't tell you why. It doesn't tell you if, she was in the wrong or he was in the wrong. It doesn't say that. It just says that, she had 5 husbands that I remember. And that, the man that she's with, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carmela, and the man that she's with, she's not married to, but she's currently with another man. Mm-hmm. And so, but like you said, he accepted her, or basically was non-judgmental, just basically told her not to sin anymore.
Right.
From there.
Yeah, come to me.
Yeah.
And I have the love you're looking for.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah.
So honestly, it had me think about, my life and how and I guess others too, for that woman's, I would say for her fulfillment in trying to find love, and besides Jesus, was in men. Mm-hmm. Where maybe others, it might not be men. It might be a love of gambling. It might be a love of food. It might be a love of, I don't know, anything. It's just your love is not for Jesus. Your love is somewhere else, fixated on something else.
Worldly things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That leads you nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I relate, pretty closely to her. I mean, I have two children, who my first two girls who are from they're from different men, and then I did get married and have two other from there. But I feel like during my teens and maybe early 20s, 30s, or I don't even remember how old I was when I got married. But anyway, I think I was trying to fill that spot too, or that void with, a man's love, a physical human's love, which Christ is the only one who can really fill that void.
Yeah.
And once I feel like you have Christ in you and you have that love, then you're able to truly love yourself, others, and you don't fill it with things that are just
Empty, leave you empty.
Temporary.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know where all that was going, but I did want to say all that.
No, I think that, the story. So the story of the woman at the well. When I started going to church, I still had this outlook of like, I'm a single mom and that's what I am. But I always felt like, is there anything more for me besides just being a single mom? Like, like, what is my purpose? And I always felt like, you go to church and you hear people talk about like, your purpose and, God has a purpose for you. And it's just like, okay, what is it? Like, is it really just to be a single mom? Is that it? And I felt like it wasn't about, I think I was missing the point of like being grateful for where I am now. Like, yes, right now, Jesus wants you to focus on, yes, you're a single mom, but that's not the end of the world. And it's not, just because that's where you are right now, trust that God, wherever he brings you, whether it's, to, a marriage or not, whatever it is, whatever he brings you to, he's got a plan for you. And you might not know right now what that plan is. And you might feel like you're always going to be alone. And, on days like this, like Valentine's Day, it's a very commercialized holiday. And I think that, social media and like just everything has just blown it up. So, on days like this, when you're sitting home and, you feel alone because you haven't yet found Jesus in that way, you don't know that about, you don't have that connection with Jesus. It's easy to get sucked into the, like, feeling depressed and lonely and sad and unwanted.
Oh, and that's right where the enemy wants you. Sorry.
Right, yeah.
He'll try to keep you there.
And so getting to know when you have Jesus in your life, it's like, Valentine's Day doesn't feel the same anymore when you're by yourself or you're single, because you're really just not, you're not alone. It's just another day, and it's just another day with Jesus, like you're not unwanted because you don't have someone to go to dinner with or to bring you flowers or to, because Jesus wants you, and he wants you to be all in with him. And I think too, like sorry, I'm going to get emotional.
No, it's okay. We don't have the Kleenex. I told you could use my jacket.
One thing that I had said a lot of is like, I'm just a single mom, and that's what I am. And that's what I'm going to be. That's all I know how to be. I don't know how to be a wife. Like I probably won't ever be a wife because I don't know how to be a wife. That was what I would tell myself.
I was saying.
And that's the lies of the enemy, because I can still, I'm not a wife right now. Like but I'm learning to be a wife in Christ. Like he's showing, to be patient and be kind and to be, all of those things I'm learning. So it's not that I'm not a single mom. I'm a daughter of Christ, and I'm learning to be a wife. And, you're not stuck where you are.
No. And he might have, like for certain times in my life too. So he might want you in certain times to kind of be by yourself.
Yeah.
So he could speak to you more, where there's less distractions, where he's like, okay, I'm going to put Carmela, right here by herself for a little while so I could speak to you. So I may have to break you down a little bit, but I'm going to build you up so much better. Right. Because he loves you that much.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a hard season to be in, because it's like you just feel, you feel like the weight. We are impatient. We try to be patient, but sometimes it's hard, And so, just the waiting and saying like, okay, you lead and I'll follow. You tell me where you want me to be and I'll be there.
That was his whole thing with this podcast.
And that's how this podcast came about, because we totally are not. No, this was not our plan. This was definitely Jesus. It was like
never in a million years would I think I would be doing this.
No.
But said, Lord, you open this opportunity.
You can't obviously not do it.
We have, whatever. If there's one person that hears what we have to say and their hearts turn to Jesus, then that's worth it.
That's the whole point.
So, because trust me, my walk has been, wow. I could have so many stories about my walk before Christ has changed my life around.
See, and like how we feel about this podcast is we come together in Lauren's kitchen or wherever, and we go on and on.
My messy kitchen.
And we go to talking, and we're like, man, that was good. Like, somebody needed to hear that. We needed to hear that.
Except
but
it was
somebody
the walls.
Should have heard that.
It was the walls in the kitchen.
Right. But it's like, when I was looking for a connection with Jesus, there was just a lot of, I feel like, had I found something I could relate to, someone that, because I just felt really misunderstood, Mm-hmm. I felt like I wasn't good enough to call myself a Christian. Like, I couldn't be a Christian. I had done so much wrong. And,
mm-hmm.
I think I felt like these are just not my people. They don't get me. But if I would have come across someone that would have just, that could relate to me, mm-hmm. and I could see how they made it to where they are in their walk with Christ, I could be like, I could do that. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I did, I went to small groups at the church. That's when it started for me. Because then I started to think like, these people think like I think, and they've been through the things I've been through. Mm-hmm. They're normal people. Like, we're not perfect. No. We're all learning. We're all improving. We all need to improve. Like, mm-hmm. And and I also felt like, if I don't know the Bible from front to back, like, I can't call myself a Christian.
Oh, but, I'll be reading the Bible till I can't breathe anymore.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I just think we just want to reach people that feel that feel understood when they hear us talk, that can relate to it.
Yeah. And too, just I guess to let whoever know that, I'm way, 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 way far from perfect in my past. Just like, nobody's perfect. There's only one perfect person. Mm-hmm. And that's Jesus. But I mean, I get what you're saying too. Like, when I first started, kind of, I guess, going to church right in the early, like right when I turned my life around for Christ, like, wow, these people have to have this perfect life to be in here with their hands up. And but no, everybody's, I mean, it's mind blowing. Some of the testimonies that these people have, I was in prison, or I was doing this, and this, and then my life has been completely changed and turned around, and now this door is opened, and I'm doing this now, and I'm giving back to the younger generation. It's just, it's amazing how he can turn so much of your life, of what you've done wrong, to something so good.
Right.
I did want to say something too, because it keeps going on in my head. So I got to say it. I'm going to have to say it. So I mentioned already how I had, I had my two girls from two different men. I wasn't married. That was done backwards. So I'm just being honest and truthful. But I will say this, is that, like, looking back on it now, the enemy, and like, I think we've talked about this before, he loves to keep you in the same cycle and blinded to like what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So if I look back on it, so like my first daughter wasn't married. Did that for a little while. Had her, not saying he was a good choice. She's a blessing, but I guess my worldly time then was not the best. But then, say, a couple years later, I'm doing the same thing.
I did the same thing you did.
Again.
I did the same
And I
thing.
had another great blessing. They have, and they are like my sidekicks.
Yeah.
You know, now I love my girls.
Yeah.
Shout out to my girls.
Yeah.
Even though you give me grace, but I still love you. And then, you know, and I was like thinking, man, I am just doing these circles over and over again, the wrong way.
Yeah.
Not the way that it's specifically said in the Bible how it's supposed to go to honor him. And I thought about that. I'm like, man, you know, that's probably what the enemy wants to do. He wants to keep you in the same circle, and everybody's got their own circle. And he's going to make sure you're stuck in it so you can't see the light of Jesus.
Yeah, cycles. It just keeps repeating itself.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. So that's what I told myself. I'm like, okay, Lauren, like if you look back on your life and now you're almost 40, I mean, the only way things are going to change is if something's got to change, because what you're doing is not working, obviously. So that's when I was like, all right, Jesus, you are the only thing that could
I used to
change
think
this.
back, like, who can really follow the Bible the way that it's, if in a relationship, the way that it's supposed to go? That's how I used to think. Like, how can you really do that? How can you, you know, how can you date someone and not sleep with them? Or, you know, and how can you, like, be in the church and praying together? Like, I never thought those things were really possible. But God has it laid out that way for a reason, because it works. That's the way it's supposed to go. That's the order you're supposed to do it. And I learned the hard way, like that, you know. And now that I know Jesus, it's like I look back on those things and I'm like, man, no, I'm not perfect. I still sin, and I still, you know, I'm not perfect. I still struggle. But I look back on the times that I didn't know Jesus, and I just think, like, man, how differently things could have been if I would have just found, you know, come sooner. But I mean, obviously I wouldn't be where I am today without my testimony, but it's just, you know, there's a reason for the order that, you know, the way that it's supposed to go. It's because it works, because that's, you know, God intended it to be that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, but we are not like going to shame anyone for, we did it the wrong way. So don't sit in the shame.
Plenty.
But yeah, I mean, you know, just pick yourself up and you know that now, from where you are now, that's your testimony, and that's what that's what brought you here, and that's what made you who you are.
Oh, yeah.
And someone can relate to it.
Yes. It's like you're never too far gone.
No.
So all these horrible things that have happened, you know, the enemy is going to sit there and try to remind you of it, to keep you down,
every day.
Keep you low, to keep you depressed.
And the closer you get to God, the more you start to realize that. Like, you start to notice, like, you can, because it becomes almost like a habit. Like, you repeat those things in your head, and you don't even realize you're doing it until, like, the end of the day, and you're all beat down, and you're like, man, I just all day played that in my head. But you can, once you know Jesus, you get into the habit of, like, stopping yourself, and you can, you know, rebuke it, pray it out.
Yeah. Well, I specifically remember one that would play out in my mind would be like, Lauren, you know, nobody's going to want you. You have way too much baggage, way too much. Like, nobody's going to want you. Nobody's going to love you.
Yeah.
And I would hear that constantly in my head.
Oh, yeah. Like, what man really wants this?
Yeah.
That's how
nobody's going to want you with all that. Look at all that you have from all of the here and here and here. Like, who is really going to love you with all of those decisions and things that you have done? Nobody.
Yeah.
Heard that all the time.
My thing was, what good man is going to want you after all of these choices you've made and the way that your life is? What good man is going to want you? So, like, you know, there are men that are going to want you, but they're not the ones that, you know, are with having.
Maybe. Yeah.
So that was my lie.
Yes. So the way to combat that is, well, the perfect man who walked this earth wants me.
Right.
He wants me. He loves me. And then so once I turned my life to him, and I'd hear that little, no, I don't want you. You've got this, this, and this, you know? I'd be like, yeah.
And if you think back,
I'm already loved. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
And if you can think back, I know, because I do it now, like, he's been pursuing you. Like, even before you were open to it, he was pursuing you. Like, that's what gets me. It's like, I think back on all these things, all these times, and I'm like, man, he really was trying to reach me the whole time.
Oh, man, yeah.
The whole time.
It's, yeah.
Even when I denied him or I didn't believe or I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that because I don't want to give up this or I don't want to give up that. You know, I wasn't all in because I don't want to give up things. And still he was pursuing me. So it's like,
that's how
he
much
loves you unconditionally.
Oh, my goodness. I just can't say enough about him.
Yeah.
I just wish I could take a little piece of Jesus out of my heart and just like stick it in
share
everybody.
it with everybody.
Everybody. Just line on up and I'll just give you a little piece of this.
I know.
And that's why I love this. Is I just, man, I wish I could just like turn so many hearts around. Yeah. I just really do. Yeah. For him. Because he is great.
Yes.
He's awesome.
Well, I think we can wrap up.
My heart's just going. Yeah. So I want to say.
I know. We could go on forever, but we don't have forever.
No.
Not today.
I want to say thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
For bringing us here, for bringing us together.
Yeah.
To be able to talk to anyone who wants to listen about him and how he can change your life. It doesn't matter what you have been through or what you're going through or what you've done. It does not matter.
Right.
I've done so many not good things.
Right. Same.
So,
I've done some things I'm not proud of, but you're never too far gone.
No.
And he can use you. Like he can use you for good. Like who would have thought we would be on a podcast?
Never.
So
never. And I thought of something else I wanted to say. So if anybody, I think earlier I said something about the Bible, like reading the Bible when I kind of was like younger Christianish, and I would read it and didn't really stick too much.
Yeah.
Or like, this one begot this one, begot this one. Hey, begot. Like where are all these people begotten to?
Right.
So now it's in the beginning of the Bible. But if I could tell anybody who's watching this, start reading your Bible in the book of John. Like, I don't know why I heard that somewhere and on social media or somewhere, and that's where I started. And it's like it just came to life to me. It talks a lot about Jesus.
You told me to start in the book of John,
and it's to me it like shows who he really is, and that just set me on fire to really see his true character and who he is and who he'll be for you.
Right. And happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And you are not alone, even if you feel like you are.
And you are loved.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yep.
Anyway, all right.
Well, that's it. Bye.
Until next time. Bye.